Hey, what is up, everybody? I'm here to give you my WWE Smackdown review for October 22nd, 2015. And I already know a spoiler that happens on the show, but I don't really care. I'm going to watch it anyways. I can't wait to see when it actually happens. Um, but the spoiler happens tonight on Miz TV with Dolph Ziggler and Summer Rae on it, and I can't wait to see what happens. Well, I already know what happens, but I can't wait to see it till it actually happens. So let's get right to the show. And this is going to be the go home show. This is the final chance for WWE to sell people to watch Hell in a Cell this Sunday. So let's see if they can do that too. Um. Okay, so we had Booker T, Rich Brennan, and Jerry the King Lawler on commentary for this show, and the show just opens right off with Seth Rollins walking backstage, and he sees Corporate Kane. And Seth Rollins is like, hey, I thought you were suspended. And he's like, I was only suspended on Monday night, but I am here to fulfill my job obligations. And then Seth Rollins says that he's going to beat Demon Kane. Well, he says, I'm going to beat you, Demon Kane, and this will be your last night as Director of Operations. And Corporate Kane says that this will be Seth Rollins' last night as WWE World Heavyweight Champion, so he wants to have him have a match right on the start of the show. And he's going to have his opponent be a surprise. And then he says, don't try to fake an injury. Like, you might want to try to fake an injury on Monday because you never know who could come out. And he says, and when Corporate Kane says this, he says it like in his Demon Kane's voice. So then Seth Rollins walks away. And I'm glad they incorporated Corporate Kane tonight because I think he was really missed on Raw. That was like one of the negatives on Raw too, was that there was no Corporate Kane. So I'm happy that he's back on SmackDown. Because if Demon Kane does lose to Seth Rollins at Hell in a Cell, we're not going to have Corporate Kane anymore. So I at least wanted to see him do this role one more time before he loses. So I'm glad they put him on SmackDown. But the segment wasn't over yet. Corporate Kane comes over and he sees Kofi Kingston and Big E, and he says, "This is my favorite group of all time because I love your positivity." And they say that they're not in the mood. And Big E was great, and Kofi Kingston was great. Big E says that our little boy Xavier Woods was put through a table by those dirty Dudley boys, so he's not there tonight. And he says he wants something done about it. And Kane plays like a little trombone like this. Wah, 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 like that. And he says that if you guys are really upset, and they call Kane booty too, then you can take out your aggression to distract you from Xavier Woods missing. You can you can have a match tonight against Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns. And then Kane plays a little trombone again and then leaves. And they say that's not even how you play the trombone. He didn't even take a pause. I thought this was great stuff. Corporate Kane was great as always, and Kofi and Big E were great. So then Seth Rollins has his match with a mystery opponent in the opening match, and he ends up wrestling Cesaro, which I figured it would be him. I don't know why. I just kind of threw that name out there, and I was right. And the Cosmic Wasteland was watching in the crowd, and they had a Stardust section like they did last week. And I definitely think they are launching into a Stardust Cesaro program, and I kind of like how they're doing it really slow. They're not building into it right away. On the other hand, it just seems, since they're not doing it right now, that it just seems really random that the Cosmic Wasteland's out there. So that's also how I feel about it, but yeah. And it just kind of reminds me that the Cosmic Wasteland's a thing because they are never together. But this was a good match here. Cesaro dominates it, and Rollins keeps trying to leave the match. So then Cesaro goes after him, and Rollins rams him into the barricade, and then he throws him into the steel steps that just topple over. So I guess the people that book SmackDown don't watch my Massasoit Wrestling Corner, which you can check out right up here. That I do because I do that show, and I don't know when the next episode is gonna be. I guess the people that book SmackDown don't watch that show because I do talk about how when people get thrown to the steel steps, they just topple over. And Seth Rollins dominates the match. He hits a high knee an Enziguri, and he just really just dominates Cesaro. And then Cesaro makes a comeback and drop kicks Rollins off the ring post, and then he hits an uppercut into the timekeeper's area. Then he hits a crossbody, which Rollins kicks out of, and then Rollins tries to get in the win and roll up Cesaro, but he counters into a sharpshooter, and then Rollins hits an Enziguri, but Cesaro kicks out of it. Cesaro gets him in a crossface, and Rollins ends up getting to the ropes. And then Cesaro tries to do his apron suplex, but then Rollins kicks his foot out from under him and hits a pedigree for the victory. And then that was it. I thought this was a nice opening match here. Good, solid match right here. And then The Miz gets interviewed about being on Miz TV, and he says that Summer Rae is going to drop a bombshell tonight on Dolph Ziggler. And I have a feeling I know exactly what this is going, because one, I already know what happens because it was spoiled on WWE.com and things like that, and two, yeah, that's pretty much the only reason why. So, I thought the SmackDown's been fine so far. Man, this segment was bad. So now apparently Paige comes out, and like they talked about on Raw, Natalya was laid out on SmackDown. I guess they did air last week, because Paige was apologizing to Charlotte and Becky Lynch, and they showed Natalya laid out. And everyone thinks it was Paige. But I guess I apparently fast forwarded through it by mistake. But in my defense, if WWE SmackDown was better last week, maybe I wouldn't have fast forwarded through it. But, you know. But this segment was bad. This Paige heel turn's been so fucking bad. So Paige comes out. Like she entered the ring. She didn't actually come out like she was having sex. She entered the ring. And actually, I think she was already in the ring actually. And she wants to call out Charlotte and Becky Lynch because they are the ones that trust her. And she talks about how she was happy for them when they came up to the main roster. And Charlotte and Becky Lynch think that's bullshit because of what they said about them in that shoot promo that means nothing now. And Charlotte's upset because Paige should know what it's like to be Divas champion, and it's pretty bad acting. And she says that she's ruining her first Divas title match, and she has her first Divas title defense. Team Bella comes out, and Nikki Bella says that Charlotte's letting her get focused on is not focusing on the title match at Hell in a Cell. She's just focusing on Paige, so it's going to allow her to regain the Divas Championship. And Charlotte doesn't want to wait till Hell in a Cell, but Paige stands up and says, if you want to get Charlotte, you have to go through me, and Nikki Bella accepts. So now it's going to be a match. You can tell by the tone of my voice how much I like this segment, so I don't even need to explain how bad this is. It's bad. It's just bad. I just can't believe they had an opportunity to do this awesome feud between Paige and Charlotte, and this is what they're going to give us. Yes, I understand you want to do a slow burn, but if you were going to do this slow burn, you should have done something else than have Paige cut that promo first. Then maybe you have Paige cut that shoot promo the night after Hell in a Cell. Or if you're going to have Paige cut this shoot promo, you have Paige act like the way she was when she was doing that shoot promo up until this point, and just have a feud with Natalya, and you take a break from this Charlotte and Paige feud, and you do Paige versus Natalya at Hell in a Cell with the purpose, with the storyline, without having them have a match. And you also do Charlotte versus Nikki Bella, and that has a purpose, that has a reason. I mean, it has somewhat of a purpose. No, actually, it really doesn't have a purpose. That match means nothing. They're just focused on Charlotte and Paige right now. That match is just to get through it. I can't wait till Charlotte retains that title. But yeah, this was bad. Okay, so now we get Miz TV with Dolph Ziggler and Summer Rae. and Miz brings out Dolph Ziggler. Well, first he talks about all this stuff that's going on with the Ziggler Summer Rae stuff, and then he has Ziggler come out and he says that he's been in a lot of relationships compared to Miz, and then he says, well, compared to you, everyone's been in a lot of relationships. And Miz asks if he broke his heart when Lana broke up with him. And Ziggler says that Lana's a grown woman, she can do whatever she wants, and and then he says that Summer Rae, he's not playing those games with Summer Rae. Summer Rae's just trying to use him like she used Rusev. And then Summer Rae comes out and says that she asked the one man to propose to her, and Dolph thinks that she's going to propose to him, but he says that he's moved on because she also says that him and Dolph had really good chemistry. And Summer Rae says that she wasn't talking about Dolph. She found a new man. And who comes out and makes his debut, main roster debut, none other than Tyler Breeze. This was awesome. He comes out and he has the same gimmick. I hope the gimmick does work. I think the gimmick is going to work. Everyone was always concerned, like, since it's a gimmick on NXT, that it wouldn't get over to the main roster. But now everybody's watched NXT, so I think it's going to do fine. And he comes out and he introduces himself, and he gives himself all these different nicknames. And he says that when he heard Summer Rae was being mistreated, he had to step in. And he says that they're going to take the world by storm with selfies or something like that. But no, with facelifts. And he even says that Dolph Ziggler's dressed like that he's from 1985, which I thought was great. And he takes a selfie with Summer Rae. And then afterwards, Ziggler goes to say that we see a lot of guys like you come in, though a dime a dozen. But before Ziggler can finish what he's going to say, Tyler Breeze attacks him, beats the crap out of him. He takes his selfie stick and he puts it on Ziggler's neck and he just jams it right into the second turnbuckle. And he beats the shit out of him. And then he hits the beauty shot right on Ziggler, and him and Summer Rae take a selfie together, and it shows the picture on the Titantron. I thought this was great. This was awesome. Nothing's going to top this. This is going to be the best thing of the night. And I'm happy that they're going to do a Tyler Breeze-Dolph Ziggler feud, because Tyler Breeze and Dolph Ziggler are like the exact same person. So I'm glad they're going to feud. And, I really hope they use Tyler Breeze correctly, because we know with the history, when somebody comes up from NXT, they use them really properly for like a few months, and then they'll start jobbing. I have this one. I know for a fact isn't gonna work, because in NXT he was used fine, but not to his full potential. So if he wasn't used to his full potential in NXT, he's gonna be used to shit on the main roster, and you watch, it's gonna happen. But I hope they surprise me, but they're not going to. I just don't have any hope that they're going to use Tyler Breeze properly. But let's see what happened next on SmackDown. Okay, so next we get Sheamus and Ken Barrett with Rusev ringside versus the Lucha Dragons. And you know what? Something I didn't say in my Raw review was I actually do like the pair-up of Sheamus, Barrett, and Rusev. I think that could be a very destructive faction right there if they run with it, but I don't think they will. This is just going to be until after Hell in a Cell, because they're having the kickoff match against Neville, Cesaro, and Dolph Ziggler. But yeah, I do like that pair up. I think if they run with it, it could be something good. And I'm not really going to complain about the match. I thought it was a nice match. The Lucha Dragons didn't really get squashed. I thought they had a nice solid match with Neville and, no, not Neville, Sheamus and Barrett. I just really wish they would use the Lucha Dragons a lot better than they are. They have so much potential that they're not even going to use them, that they're not even using them for. And I also think they're probably building up these other tag teams too, because the Dudley Boys are probably going to win the tag team titles, and they have no heel tag teams for them to go against when they beat the New Day for them. Because obviously the New Day's feud will probably be over after they get their rematch or something. And that's their own fault. So, but yeah, they dominate. Sheamus and Barrett get the heat on Sin Cara, and then Kalisto gets the hot tag on Sheamus. He starts going off on him, and Sin Cara goes to dive on Barrett, but Rusev pushes Barrett out of the way, and that causes Sin Cara to crash on the floor. But the ref saw it. That should have been a DQ right there. I know technically you could say, well, it's his man. Rusev was in Barrett and Sheamus' corner, so it doesn't count. That's bullshit. In the rules of a wrestling match, it says, should anybody not in the match put in their hands on somebody that's in a match, that's a disqualification. So the non-participant in a wrestling match their hands on a participant in a wrestling match, that's a DQ. So that's exactly what happened, but I digress. Because they still won anyway. Sheamus beat Kalisto with the bro kick, and it was a nice, fine match right there. And I liked it. It was fine. Um, I just wish they would lose the Lucha Dragons a lot better. Okay, so Bo Dallas has a match with Ryback, but before he has the match, he cuts a promo talking about how John Cena's having his U.S. Open Challenge at Hell in a Cell, and he says he accepts. He accepts for his Bo Americans, which was great, and he goes to sing the national anthem using his old catchphrase, like his Bo, the catchphrase, and then but Ryback comes out and interrupts him and squashes him and beats him with the shell shocked. Yeah. A good storyline they could do for Bo Dallas. Um, Going in since they're doing this breast cancer awareness month, and since because this gimmick could work for this month, um, he could come out and talk to like a breast cancer survivor every week, and just say, "You're gonna fight through this disease." Even though it's going to overwhelm you, and he could just be oh so inspirational, but he could just be an absolute dick about it. I understand that's going too far, but that would really work. And I think everybody would hate him, and they would want someone to come out and kick his ass. And maybe like the final week of breast cancer, you have like Ryback come out and kick his ass. So I think that would work, and everybody would want to see Bo Dallas get his ass kicked every week. And obviously, you couldn't continue it forever. Or maybe at like the end of the month at the pay-per-view, somebody comes out and kicks his ass doing like a segment or has a match with him. I think that would work. Or you could have Bo Dallas go over. It would give Bo Dallas a purpose on the show. Um, but they didn't do that because they don't want to go too far because it's breast cancer. I understand it's a cold topic, but it's better than if you watch some of the Massasoit Wrestling Corner, which is right up there. It's better than than the original thing that we said. But then afterwards, Kevin Owens gets interviewed because he has a match with Ryback in Hell in a Cell this Sunday for his Intercontinental Championship. And Kevin Owens says that Ryback's a former champion, but I'm the current Intercontinental Champion. And he asks what that means. And Renee Young, who was interviewing him, says that means you're arrogance. And he says, you're calling me arrogant? And he said that before he won this title, he said that this title meant nothing. And now that he has it, it means something. And then he says that he's going to turn Hell in a Cell this Sunday into the Kevin Owens show. I thought he cut a fine promo, but this was just kind of average stuff here. Okay, so the main event is Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose versus Kofi Kingston and Big E. I did like the match, but I definitely think Xavier Woods was Mr. Ringside because he wasn't doing the entertaining stuff. But they get the heat on Ambrose for a while, and then Reigns gets the hot tag and starts going off on him. And then Ambrose and Reigns are just kicking their ass, so Kofi and Big E go to leave, but then the Dudley Boys force them back in the ring. Reigns goes off the steel steps and hits a Superman punch on Big E. Ambrose dives on Kofi, and then they do a Doomsday device on Big E. Kofi tries to jump off the turnbuckle, but Reigns hits a Superman punch and a spear for the win. And then that was the match, and then afterwards Bray Wyatt comes on the screen and says that Roman Reigns won't be able to run his fate, and he tells him he'll see him in hell, and then that was the end of the show. I liked the main event. I thought the Kofi and Big E looked a little weak in the match, and the reason I say that is because they have a tag team title match this Sunday, and they're the freaking champions, so they shouldn't be looking that weak. I think they should have got a little bit more offense in. But then again, Roman Reigns has a big match coming up in Hell in a Cell, so it's whatever. So overall, I thought SmackDown was an average show this week. The only thing that kind of saved it from sucking was Tyler Breeze's main roster debut, because that was awesome. But it was an average show. I did like the opening match with Cesaro and Rollins, and the main event wasn't too bad, but that was kind of average as well. and I did like Kane on the show. But yeah, it was really an average show. I kind of wish they would have incorporated Kane a little bit more, like I said, because we might not see him as corporate Kane ever again. So kind of wish they would have done it. But that's my thoughts on SmackDown, guys. You can subscribe to the channel down below. You can subscribe to my Wrestling Fortune 4 channel up here. My own the Talkinator channel down there. My friend James Heberts has 2 YouTube channels. James Heberts over here, and he just reached 100 subscribers. Well, actually, he's a little bit over 100 subscribers, but he reached 114 subscribers, and he made a video about that, so check out that video. And then over here is his Weymouth Youth Wrestling channel. And that's pretty much it, guys. Talk to you later.